What's up guys, welcome to a new Kengan video. Today I will be explaining both the advanced and removal and going over what the difference between them are. Hope you enjoy. Let's start with the advanced, which also goes by the name Possessing Spirit. That was created by the person known as the other Nico or Tiger Nico, with it being labelled as a Nico style secret technique, but there can be arguments made and it really isn't that related to the Nico style. The known users include Tahita Oma of course, Longmin and Ranjo, who were high-ranking bodyguards for Jaime and also secret worm agents, and most likely the Tiger Vessel once he gets revealed, and probably the Tiger Nico as well since he created it. There could be other characters, but those 5 are the only probable ones, or the 3 that we've seen, and most likely the Tiger Vessel and Tiger Nico. There could be others, but that's just the safe bet I'm going to go for. Before I continue, make sure you're subscribed, and if you're an absolute mad lad, check out the other stuff in the description like the Discord and Patreon. Now, back to the video. The spirit within Oma tells us that the advance was originally developed to rival the Kure clan's removal, and I'll talk about this later in the video. So how does the advance work? This is what Hanafusa tells us. Oma can increase his heart rate. This explosively increases the rate of blood being circulated throughout his body, and this generates heat that he converts into motion. However, it also damages the blood vessels and causes other effects like memory loss, with the end result being one's heart failing with the overuse of the advance. Take note that it has different levels of output amount for power that comes from it. At least we know Oma's one does. You can see here with round 1 Oma and 2, and the final with Croaky. The round 2 Oma had the most output and was the one where he went berserk in fighting Kure Raian. And then in the final round against Croaky, this is where he was able to control the output of the advance, allowing himself to use the Nico style techniques in combination with it. And then I'm guessing he's perfected a more output amount of the advance with the Nico style in Kengan Omega once we get to see him fight properly. And when Oma first used the advance against Segabahashi, we have the big brain Waka who tells us the following. It's torque, not his power that increases, but his velocity. If your mass remains constant, then naturally your striking power will rise relative to your velocity, with this diagram shown to explain it better, meaning the higher output of the advance that Oma uses, such as the most output in round 2, the more speed and velocity he has. So in short, he throws more punches, and those punches can be considered stronger because they're moving faster. We know that advanced Oma in round 2 is the one with the most output, has an increase of speed more than 2 times of his round 1 advance, as Kure Raian states here. That was fast, at least twice as fast as the first round, and then a few panels later saying he got even faster. So I'm just gonna say it's at least 2 times faster from the round 1 advance when he had his battle against Inaba, and we don't know the difference the advance provides from base form Oma or base form anyone to this a regular advance, and a number to quantify how much the increase changes based on how much output is coming from the advance. So we don't actually know, but there is a very clear increase which allows someone like Oma who's getting outsped by someone to completely blitz them once he pulls out the advance. So there is a pretty significant increase due to the advance. We just don't know the exact numbers for it. Take note that Kazi states that advanced Oma and removal Raian in round 2 when they were fighting, that they are way too fast. Take that statement however you want, but that kind of means Kazi with his fist eye couldn't really perceive or understand what was going on during that fight because they're, too fast to get a scale of speed from, later rounds and stuff in Omega that we've got recently. You can probably say any person can learn or be given the advance, but the output and mastery degree is probably based on the user. And we also know the way you are given the advance is kind of weird. In Oma's flashback, we see the Tiger Nico pretty much like punching or stabbing his heart. And then when Oma's Nico sealed the advance, he did a similar thing. So we probably will get that explained in the future of Kengan Omega, hopefully. Now onto the removal, which also goes by the name Yuhan, which is the Wu clan's name of the removal. It's pretty much the exactly same thing. The only difference is that the Wu clan's removal looks a little bit different because the Wu Clan members are larger frame or round due to the environment they grew up in. And it's also possible that Alan Wu's removal or Guhan was also a special version of that, but I'm not going to talk too much about that in today's video. And the removal is also considered the secret technique of the Kure and Wu clans. It involves removing the brain's limiter and unleashing one's latent abilities, with different characters having different degrees or percentage amount for their removal, with Kure Raian having the highest at 100% that we've seen so far in the story, and we don't know what Alan Wu's special removal percentage was. We didn't get that revealed. We'll probably get that explained more when we see him fighting Edward Wu at some point. We know that regular humans are naturally unable to access more than 30% of their body's muscular strength, except in times of struggle or extreme duress, when they are on like the brink of death and they need to do something or like lift something up, they'll, unleash more of their body's potential. But the Kure clan can use the removal due to their selective breeding over generations to have bodies pretty much far superior to regular people to handle the strain the removal puts on one's body. We know people outside of the Kure and Wu clan can learn the removal, but their bodies and minds most likely can't handle it. We see this with Lu Tian, who was shown the removal by the Tiger Nico, who learnt it from Edward Wu. While he was considered a 1 in a million, he still went berserk mode and being unable to fully control the removal, and that cost him the fight against Kanogito. My theory is that after the Tiger Nico learnt the removal from Edward Wu, or learnt how to do it at least, I think he adapted and adjusted it to make the advance, and this is what he would later give to other characters in the series like Tokita Oma, and that Lu Tian and the other people who he had given the removal were just like test subjects to create the advance. That's my little theory on that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now back to the removal. It most likely increases one's overall stats like raw speed, power, and possibly durability. I'm not 100% on that, but it's definitely raw speed and power. And this is also depending on the user's base power and their removal percentage. So the stronger the base is, and the higher their removal percentage is, the stronger buff or the more of a buff they get from their own removal. So what's the difference between the advance and removal? Advance focuses on the heart to increase speed and velocity to make the user more powerful from their base power, while the removal focuses on the brain and unleashes the latent power one has to pretty much increase every stat. People also love to mention a character using both the removal and advance, and it's possible, but most people would end up dead real quick if they tried this. The only people I think that could handle it are the Kure or Wu clan members, like Kure Raian. Imagine if Edward Wu is the character to pull out the removal X advance when he's fighting Kure Raian. That would be pretty hype. And I do think it's possible considering he had dealings with the Tiger Nico. But as a whole, since normal people can't handle the removal, it's safer to assume that the removal X advance could only work on specific Kure clan members like Kure Raian or other ones. And it's also possible that no one in the story could handle both of them at the same time, and if they tried they would end up dying. So which one do I think is better? Since the removals percentage is based on the specific user and is something made for or specific for the Kure and Wu clans for the most part, while the advance has an unknown increase for each, I would say the advance is better than the removal in a broader sense. Think about it like this. Imagine you're given the removal, but your latent ability isn't very high, that meaning your removal won't really add much to you, while the advance will by default add a pretty decent amount. However, if you're someone with insane latent power and with a high removal percentage, that's probably better like Kure Raian's 100% removal, rather than a weaker character having the advance. That's my thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments. But yep, that should be everything for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully it made sense. Let me know your thoughts of this down in the comments. Shout out to the people who support the channel via the Patreon. Absolute mad lads. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.